Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the Frankie and Geo show. I'm Geo and this is Frankie. How is oneself?
Very good, mate. Very good.
I would like to start with season tickets because you've been doing a little bit of listening to other podcasts and a little bit of reading and you know the score, what's going on with the season ticket concession prices. And I'm just going to hand the floor to you as always, leave it as a blank canvas to you. What's your thoughts, Frankie?
Yeah, it's a bit naughty, really, isn't it? And it's been a bit tricky. Obviously, my boy goes with me, but we have to purchase him an extra ticket because I've got a season ticket. The other people in our group have got a season ticket, but he hasn't got one yet. So tried to get him one last season. And when I phoned up to try and get that through, they was putting it all through and everything was all good. And they was confirming it and I was going through the process. And all of a sudden, sort of towards the end, they went, "Oh, is he on the waiting list?" And I said, "No." And they went, "Oh, we can't give him a ticket then." And it was like, hang on a minute. So what is the waiting list for? If it wouldn't have mattered how long he'd been on the waiting list. They just wanted to confirm that at some point somewhere a monetary contribution had been paid so that he was on a waiting list so he could be given a ticket. So I really didn't like that. That didn't sit right with me at all. We've gone through to obviously this season, and my friend who used to sit next to us, he didn't want his ticket anymore. He said, "I'm not going to renew." So we contacted the club and said, basically, can we, this person who's in our group and in our network is giving up his ticket, can I transfer that to my boy who's also on the waiting list now because we paid that contribution last year? They said, "No, we can't downgrade the ticket." So I said, "Well, it seems a bit silly." I said, because obviously, you know, to get him next to us is going to be a problem if there's not space available. Whereas there is going to be space available, because I'm telling you right now, the person in our network, they said, what you can do is you can purchase it at the full price, and then you can contact the club, and then you can ask them to refund you the money based on a concession, but there's no guarantee you would be given the money back. So that was our journey, which I really don't like. Now, we are in a band where there is still concession prices. But if I'm honest, the group that we're in and so on, we've got reasons why going all the way up. And even for him, that steep staircase is a bit of a problem at times. It's a long way up for him. It's a bit uncomfortable. You've got to cling on to him as you're getting up there. You've got to cling on to him when he's on the way back down. And it is awkward, and it's a lot for him. And when that experience is going from the international station, you've got to go all the walk to the ground, and then when you come out, he's got that walk again, and then they put you through the stop go signs. Then they don't let you go in the entrance of the station because that's where people have to exit, so they make you walk the whole way round. Again, just ridiculous. Just the whole thing for him is a lot, including everything else. So I said, look, we want to try and move down, we want to try and move forward, but obviously now, because of the concession situation, if we do move into a lower band than where we are, then I've got to pay adult prices for him. And it just becomes very, very expensive and just something that is not right. So what do you do now? Do you take him to West Ham? Do I take him to another football club? Like we used to go on a Saturday. We've been Charlton, Leighton Orient, Dartford, Maidstone, wherever. But it's such a shame. He loves going West Ham. That's where he wants to go. It's where his passion is, even though he's happy to go and watch any game of football. The one that he enjoys more than any other is West Ham. That's his team. So you really want to take him to as many games as possible. But literally, the only way that I can do it at the moment is hopefully in our area there is a child's ticket that comes available. I purchase it, and then I sit him next to me in my seat and just pray that nobody is sitting in the seat next to me. That's what I was doing all last season. And to be honest, 90% of the time we got away with it, because up where we are, there is often quite a few empty seats. So even if somebody did sit in the seat next to us, if there was a space, a couple along, we just say, "Oh, can you shift it up a little bit?" But it's still a headache and aggravation that you just don't need. All I really want to do is take my boy to West Ham at a price that is fair. And I'm not, at the end of the day, it was quite weird last season because a Charlton season ticket is considerably more than a West Ham season ticket. So I can understand that the £99 bracket was way too cheap, to be perfectly honest. And if they would have even doubled it to, £199, I could have suffered that, and I could have dealt with that, and that wouldn't be a problem. But as soon as you move down that band, and then you're paying adult prices, that ticket goes up to 5, 6, 7, £800, and it's just too much money. It's not right, and I'm really, really concerned that, you know, the next generation, the kids that are supposed to be going West Ham and becoming, you know, our future of our supporters, they're just not going to get to see enough of West Ham, and people have turned their backs on it, and it's just not right. And we've accepted a lot, I think, as a fan base. We accepted a lot of false promises. We accepted a lot of things that weren't delivered on. I feel like we've not taken enough of a stand at times when things like this happen. This is the future supporters. This is our kids. This is, you know, them getting involved in West Ham. And I really, really feel that we need to take a stand. And I'm not sure some of the things that I've seen touted around that they are the right way to approach it. I've seen even Man United try to do the whole don't buy the merchandise, don't do this. It doesn't work. None of that works. But we need to do something. And we used to be a club that used to take a stand and make our voices heard. And at the moment, this is kind of, I feel, almost just being passed over as like everything else that we've just, for whatever reason, just tolerated. And I think we need to stop, and we need to start making our voices heard very, very quickly, because this isn't right, mate.
I think I think a lot of people have just been worn down. I think some of my friends don't have season tickets anymore, and they go now and again, but it's a day out for them, really, rather than every single week, and they've got no interest in returning. And it's not a Moyes ball thing, because Moyes is no longer here, and they've still got no interest in picking up a season ticket. It's a board thing. It's how we've been treated by them has made me walk away, and because they're still here. And when this thing comes around, a lot of people, you know, when I did the video the other day, there was a few people who said, well, what do you expect? Well, actually, I did expect this, but just because you expect it doesn't mean you have to accept it. I think you can still be unhappy, but unsurprised, and that's where I am. And the way of which you're looking at it, which is the next generation, is possibly a way that I hadn't considered enough of. I was more angered by the disrespect shown to the seniors, to the 66 and overs. Last year was the 65-year-olds, this year's the 66 and overs, because I thought surely they're the most loyal fans. They're the ones that are probably given 50 plus years to the club. And West Ham used to be skint. We no longer rely on gate receipts, but we used to. We used to rely on people paying the money at the turnstile. We used to rely on people buying season tickets, and the club needed that money. It was crucial. And the people in that age bracket, 66 and over, plus below as well, but we are not being impacted yet. The adults ones are still the same. They're the ones that's getting hit by this, the ones that tided the club over when we needed it. And I know those renewing are still being granted concessions, but I think that will go. If we accept this change, which is new season ticket holders, no concessions, but those renewing can still have it. If we accept it, I think they'll take it one further, and I wouldn't be surprised if next summer we discover actually there's just no concessions, renewing or not, or a new season ticket holder, forget it, no concessions. I think I say it's just a start. It wasn't. It's already been just a start. They removed the founders' prices. They took away the £99 kids season tickets, which I agree was cheap and possibly was too cheap. And some people took advantage because people quickly worked out that you could buy a kids season ticket in band 1 for £99. You could buy an adult season ticket in band 5 for £290. So you could go in with your band 5 ticket and go sit in your band 1 seat. So for 300 or 400 quid, you got a band 1 seat. So people worked out how to exploit that. But they took it away. The founders is gone. The £99 kids is gone. They bumped up the concession age last summer. There wasn't much reaction. They thought, oh, we're getting away with this one. Let's go one more. And they're hiding behind the whole Premier League are doing it. Well, that will be their excuse because it is a Premier League issue rather than just a West Ham issue. There's other clubs, other fan bases pissed off with this. And some of them have taken action. Wolves have got a little bit back from their board. They've rescinded on upping the prices. I think it's for the under 14s. They've retracted that for now. And Wolves fans are saying, no, that's not enough. We want more. Keep backtracking because that's not enough. You've given us a crumb. We want more than that. Give us more. And I just worry that there's going to be more. And what you said about the next generation, you're right. You know, people will not be able to afford to get their kids a season ticket anymore, and it's just wrong. And we know why they're doing it. It's because the tourist is worth more to West Ham than the West Ham fan is, which is ridiculous when you think about it, that actually they would prefer non-West Ham fans because they are financially worth more to the club than the West Ham fan coming through the turnstile. And we know why: buying merch, spending money. The match day tickets are more expensive than the average cost of a season ticket price. I think I pay about, what do you pay per game? Do you know?
£15, so it is
£15. Yeah.
That's not cheap.
But if you go to see Liverpool or Man U at Arsenal, sit in your seat, the club will probably charge what, 70, 80 quid?
Yeah.
For that seat. So it's worth 70 quid more to them for you to not be there, put your ticket on ticket exchange, and someone else gets it on a one-off game and goes. I think I pay about 40 quid per game, which is good value. I'm happy with this, and I should just stress, because I've seen some people ask why I'm complaining about my season ticket price go up. I haven't once complained about that. Do I like it? Not really. I'd rather it didn't go up, but I still think it's good value. I've still renewed. It's still good value. I'm not complaining about this. I'm actually complaining about things that don't impact me, because I ain't taking a little one and I ain't 66. So but just because you're not impacted doesn't mean you can't be disgruntled. And I know people will say, well, if you want to spend big money, you've got to deal with things like this. But then it's not worth that much to the club. These changes are worth a few 100,000, which is a lot of money. But when it's 2 months of wages for Danny Ings, I've struggled to really find it justified by that. What would you like to see be done, Frankie?
Well, I'll tell you what, mate, and just before I say what I'd like to be done, that club, they want to make sure that, see, this window, they spend proper money. They want to make sure this manager works out, and they want to make sure they keep investing, because all the while the time's good and we're winning and West Ham's doing well, those tourists will keep flocking in. You wait till the going gets tough. And when we used to get relegated and we still had 33,000 fans because we all love West Ham and we backed West Ham to the hills, you see all them people say, no, do you know what? Poke it up your backside, because at the end of the day, you never stood with us. We're not standing with you. So they really want to make sure they keep investing and pushing West Ham on as much as they can. Because if we ever go through some tougher times, that gaff will be absolutely empty, and they will absolutely deserve it. And I would hate to see it, and we don't want to see it.
It's also, if Lopetegui was ever to complain about the lack of atmosphere, just have a look at your employers first and foremost. Yeah. It's a bit like when Moyes used to say, oh, the atmosphere wasn't good, or we need the fans or something. It'd be like, well, A, we're all a bit bored of your football, so you're going to struggle to get us inside, but also B, a good portion of the people sitting in the crowd are not West Ham fans.
No. And you know, there's this issue with the supporters associations and all this thing that they're dissolving a certain one and I don't know enough about all of that to understand it, but it seems to me like it's making their life easier, that they're even more distant from the fans than we already are. What I struggle with is it's so easy for them to inject a spark into this season. All they would have had to have done was, like they did at Wembley, install safe standing, put that in. Everyone would have backed that and said that's an amazing change. Put people in there who want to stand, sing and jump up and down for the whole game. And then just retract on your children's season ticket situation and make sure, look, £99, ridiculous. I understand that, too cheap. But go and give a proper, fair kids pricing around that stadium. And we would have gone into this season ready and raring to go, buzzing, new change, new management, new era. They're already doing their best to put a dampener. We should be all looking forward to it. And all we've got is this puxy situation that's just, you know, already starting to have grumbles of there's going to be protests, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. We shouldn't be there, mate. It's just typical West Ham. There should be a new era. We should be going to this season, looking forward to it. Really, you know, a new... Just a whole refresh, which we so desperately needed. And instead of looking forward to it, we're dealing with this. And it annoys me so much, mate, because just when you think you're turning a corner and you're going in the right direction, they do their best to mess it all up again. So, but in saying that, I don't want us to just bury our head in the stand with it. I don't want to hear people saying, forget about it. You've got to turn up on match day one and you've got to get behind them, because this isn't right. And we have to make a stand. Wolves have made a stand. We're not making a stand. And why should Wolves fans be able to do it and we don't? I've always said to you, West Ham fans have been far, far too tolerant over some of the things that the club have put us through in recent times. And yes, we've had good times on the pitch, in terms of, league finishes and so on. But at the end of the day, you can't sacrifice everything. And the heart and soul of the club, which is, the future generations and everything else. If we let this happen, mate, I think a few times we've all said that it's the final nail in the coffin for what was West Ham United. Well, this really would be the finishing straw. So I don't know how we do it. I don't know who takes the stand. I don't know who, whatever, or what, how we approach it. But I know Hammers United are trying to do a few things. I'm not convinced that their approach to it at the moment is the right one. But I do know that we've got to do something, and I'll be fully on board with whatever it is that we've got to do to try and basically do what Wolves have been able to do, mate.
Yeah, well, more to come. We'll keep our eyes across it and keep discussing it as the situation goes on. But as it stands right now, the club have been contacted by the ISC, who were pushing for the club to rescind. We gave them plenty of time to rescind on what they have proposed, and the club have confirmed they're not going to. So that is why the ISC have put out a statement. Hammers United have backed up that statement as well by saying it's time to campaign. And the things they propose is just the beginning, which is to boycott merchandise, boycott sponsors, etc. But there could be more to come should that not be sufficient. So it will be, time will tell on this one. But I agree. I think the thing is, I don't think it'll stop here. Like I said, my fear is that the season kicks off, this issue disappears, everyone just accepts it. And then come April next year, when the renewals come out, that actually you'll find that concessions have just been removed altogether. And it just feels unnecessary. It feels unfair, unjust. There's just no need for it. I think it's a nasty thing to do, actually. It's a really horrible thing. And it's a horrible way to treat the fan base as well, especially, you said, the loyal fans and the kids as well are impacted by it. And I would like to see the club go back. Like you said, there's easy fixes. Safe standings, one, create a family section, something we've never had at London Stadium, even if you only do concessions for children in that area, but make it a good area, not just bands 5 and 6 only. Have the entire upper tier of the Bobby Moore stand or something as the family section, and say that's where the concessions are going to be for the kids, not the 66 and overs, because they shouldn't have to go sit in the family section. But the family section, which used to be the booking upper Upton Park before we departed, have a family area where people can take the kids, benefit from a discount. But we've never had it. And the reason we've never had it is because Brady's always said the entire stadium is family friendly. Well, it's no longer family accessible. You've removed that. So now what you're going to do about it? I guess we should quickly talk about some transfer activity before we depart, Frankie. Guilherme is having his medical as we speak, literally right now. He's having his medical. Looks like he'll be the first signing in a deal worth up to €38 million, 25 million quid to you and I. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, it's a positive signing. I think, young, energetic, pacey, strong. I think all the marks of what you want for a wide player. We've lacked a wide player with those sort of abilities for quite a while now. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope he gets a real chance. I think a lot of people are saying that we can't expect too much of him, and I fully understand that. But if we're going to go and make that commitment, he's got to see that pitch as much as possible. We've got to be getting him game time. There's no point in him coming in, sitting on the bench or rotting in the reserves like Luizao and players like that. So we've got to get him in that team. We've got to give him the best chance of, just finding his feet in the Premier League as well. And what we've got to do with him is, we had some issues with youngsters before when they've come in and made mistakes, and then we haven't stood by them and given the opportunity to build confidence back again. They almost sort of get put, cast aside because they have some bad moments. Declan Rice actually had some bad moments, but we persevered with him, and we've got to do
ducks out the way.
Yeah, and we've got to do a similar scenario. We've got to get him in. We've got to get him playing. And if he has the off game, we've just still got to keep getting behind him and supporting him and pushing him, because the Premier League is the toughest league in the world, and he's not going to come in and have it easy. He's going to find it very physical. He's going to find it very different to what he's used to. But it's all the type of signing that we've all been crying out for, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Yeah, the Premier League can be an unforgiving place, but I think the fan base can be a forgiving one. It depends who you speak to. Not everybody's forgiven Aaron Creswell, for example. I have, but not everybody has. However, the reason I bring Creswell up is because when he signed his contract extension, and the club did an article last week, and there was words from Creswell, and he spoke about that sending off against Frankfurt, and he said about how the warm-up prior to the next game was one of the most difficult times, and he was really nervous because he didn't know what the reception was going to be. And that's an experienced player. Could you imagine being a youngster as well, adding that lack of experience into your game where you're like, whoa, hang on a minute, everything's a bit scary and stuff. So I think you're right in terms of the support, but I do think they get it. I do like to think the youngsters get a bit more leeway than what someone like Creswell would do because they have that inexperience. You can judge them on a game-by-game basis, but I do tend to think they I say get off with things. They're allowed to learn. It's the best way to learn, isn't it? By making mistakes. I've never seen Declan Rice ducked against Arsenal and end up in the back of the net. I've never seen him duck across again after that. So he learned his lesson. Anything you'd like to add, Frankie, before we disappear for this week?
No, a little nod to Bowen. I'm glad he got in the squad. I'm not sure we're going to see much of him on the pitch, unfortunately, but that might not play out too badly for us. I've heard little rumours that we might see the Betway Cup again, which I've missed that a little bit. I like that first initial warm-up game and, getting back over there. So I hope that happens. I felt like we wouldn't see that again because of the sort of...
Well, they're playing baseball in it right now, aren't they?
This is what I'm saying. So, and then also the shopping centre not wanting us to, extra games of us wandering around there. So I thought that had gone, but I used to enjoy that. And there's rumours that it will be one of the big European powerhouses. So I hope that's true, because I'd like to have a little warm-up game, get over there, and maybe we can actually take our kids to it for a fair price.
I better say, 100 quid for you and 100 quid for your boy as well. Unless you want to sit in the back row, then you can get a little discount. Right then, that's it from us. If you want to get involved next week, please leave Frankie your questions. Not me. No point asking me questions. Not my opinion. If you've got any questions for Frankie, get them in by replying to this video, and I'll collect them for next week or the week after. Whenever there's not much West Ham news, I'll fire your questions to him. Also, if you head over to Patreon, if you want to get involved in our Euro competition, we've got Fantasy League and Prediction League. If you're a patron, you can join them for free. There's a signed shirt up for grabs on both ones, a signed book for the runner-up, and if you're an addict, you will also win a signed Julen Dix print on top of your original prize as well. So go to patreon.com/HammersChat. So patrons, please log in, get entered before Friday. We're going to be kicking off our coverage of the Euros this week as well, with an England preview, a Euro 24 preview, but also a Scotland-Germany preview, because I am looking forward to it. Anyway, we've got all that and much more coming up. But thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe to HammersChat. Frankie, I shall catch up with you next week.
See you later.